The morning breeze came from the mountains, dry and dust-laden, a harsh wind that scraped at the skin and made the barn doors creak as if they were haunted. Abel was halfway through repairing the irrigation system when he noticed something odd in the fields. The dust wasn't moving like it usually did, no lazy spirals or wandering tumbleweeds. This was erratic, sharp, and determined. He set down his wrench, wiped sweat from his brow, and squinted into the bright sun. Whatever it was small, too small for a wolf or a fox, yet moved with strange purpose, stumbling every now and then as if unsure whether to walk or collapse. Its body gleamed, catching the light in a metallic shimmer, something entirely unnatural. Abel had seen strange things in his time, the endless drought of 35, the rebellion against the new water laws, even the bizarre moment when the sky turned a sickly orange for a week, but nothing like this. The creature finally stopped just a few feet from him, collapsing onto the ground. Abel crouched down to get a closer look. It was about the size of a young calf, lean in the midsection, but broad in the shoulders. Its wings were folded tightly, almost broken, and its tail curled like a whip. Scales covered its body, each one fragile like glass, shifting colors between silver and deep blue. Its breath was faint and labored. A dragon, a real one, definitely not from around here. Its wings were too angular, too sharp, its eyes glowing faintly violet. The creature looked alien, and its claws were cracked and its legs wobbly. Abel could have backed away, called the local authorities, or even shot it from a distance, but something about the way the creature whimpered, like a starving puppy, kept him rooted in place. "Well, looks like you're a long way from home," Abel muttered, partly to himself, partly to the creature. The dragon cracked open one eye but didn't move. It didn't even flinch when Abel pulled a piece of dried meat from his jacket and held it out. Slowly, hesitantly, the creature extended its neck and took the food between trembling jaws. The way it ate was almost pitiful, like it wasn't sure it was allowed to enjoy the meal. Abel sat on the ground, cross-legged, and pulled out his canteen. "Here, little one, something to drink," he said gently. The dragon drank without opening his eyes, almost as if it had never felt safe until that moment. Abel wasn't sure why he was helping a creature that clearly didn't belong in this world, but he figured he was already involved. The next day, the dragon barely moved. It curled up in the shade of the barn, too weak to fly and too exhausted to flee. Abel kept bringing it food and water, and the creature ate anything, even the turnips. Oddly, it seemed to love the sweet corn. The following morning, the dragon made an attempt to stand, its back legs buckling, and it ended up face first in the trough. Abel laughed so hard he nearly dropped the bucket. The dragon hissed in embarrassment and, as if to save face, released a tiny puff of flame, more like a spark from a flint than actual fire. Abel blinked, then chuckled again. "Well, I guess that settles it. You're spark now." The dragon cocked its head as if considering the name, then blinked slowly, as if accepting it. From that moment on, Abel talked to Spark like he would an old mule. "Got some scraps of you today, Spark," he'd say. "You know how to fix a leaky valve, don't you?" And once, when the dragon accidentally set fire to the barn with his flames, Abel told him, "If you're going to roast something, try not to pick the barn." By the third night, Spark was following Abel around the farm, just a few feet behind, his tail dragging, wings still limp. One evening, as they sat on the porch, Spark curled up nearby, resting his head on his paws. When the stars came out, Abel whispered softly, "Someone's missing you, huh?" The dragon didn't respond, but his eyes remained fixed on the sky. Abel sighed, looking at the stars. The next morning, Spark attempted to fly for the first time. Abel had just finished checking the irrigation line when a gust of wind nearly knocked his hat off. He turned just in time to see a silver-blue blur streak past the barn's edge. Spark wobbled in the air, wings flapping erratically like torn sails, but somehow stayed airborne for 5 seconds before crashing into a haystack with a clumsy thud. Abel couldn't help but laugh. "Try to show off now, are we?" Spark crawled out of the hay, snorting in frustration. The farm dog, Duke, ran up to him, barking, thinking it was a game. Spark flared his wings in surprise, knocking the dog back into the water barrels. "Wasteful," Abel muttered as he went over to untangle the mess. Spark blinked, water dripping from his eyes as Abel helped him up. "Easy there," Abel said with a grin. "You're not quite a kestrel, are you?" By the third day, Spark had grown noticeably stronger. His scales had become more vibrant, and his wings, though still ragged, were improving. His muscles were filling out. He was growing fast. But then again, nothing about a dragon showing up on a farm was normal. One evening, as Abel lit the fire pit, Spark sat nearby, watching the flames. When Abel tossed him a piece of meat, the dragon caught it midair with a grace that startled even Duke. Abel, impressed, commented, "That was slicker than a grease gear." Without missing a beat, Spark opened his mouth and let out a burst of fire, igniting the log with ease. Abel stood there, speechless. "Well, I'll be damned," he muttered. "You're starting to earn your keep." As the days passed, things between them settled into an odd sort of routine. The soil on the farm began to respond to Abel's hands like never before. Crops grew faster. Machine that hadn't worked in years began to hum back to life. And Spark helped in his own strange ways, scaring away pests with his presence and using his fire to light the evening's campfires. Then the ships came. One afternoon, while Abel was working near the barn, the sky changed. The air became still, and the clouds shifted in unnatural patterns. 3 massive, sleek ships descended from the sky, not falling but almost emerging from the atmosphere like they had been invited. One of the ships emitted a soft, golden light, and from it descended a figure, tall, cloaked, and humanoid, though not human. The creature's eyes burned like twin stars. Abel stood frozen. He grabbed the rake by the barn door, but his hand was shaking. Spark stepped between him and the alien. Standing tall and protective, the being raised its hands in peace, and in that moment it spoke, but not with words. It spoke directly into Abel's mind. "We have come for our kin." As the alien's voice echoed in his mind, Abel's heart raced. He had expected something monumental, a confrontation, a clash of worlds. But the words weren't threatening. They were full of respect. The being lowered his head in acknowledgement, and Abel instinctively reached out, placing a hand on Spark's rough, gleaming scales. In that quiet moment, the alien continued, "He is lost no longer, and for the kindness you've shown, we offer our gratitude." The dragon, Spark, now turned his violet eyes toward Abel. There was something ancient in them, something that spoke not only of a bond forged by circumstance, but also of something deeper. Abel had unknowingly cared for something that had traversed galaxies, that had known suffering on a scale he could never comprehend. And yet, here they were connected. The figures descended from the ship, not with the coldness of conquerors, but with the presence of kin, of family reunited. Spark's posture shifted, a small, respectful bow toward Abel, his way of saying goodbye, of saying thank you without words. The alien beings didn't need to say more. Their eyes told him all he needed to know. Abel's throat tightened. The reality of the moment settled in. The enormity of the universe, the cosmic connections far beyond the dirt beneath his feet, the stars above that he'd always thought were so distant. Yet here was Spark, as real as the soil that had nurtured him. "Safe travels, Spark," Abel whispered, a small, bittersweet smile crossing his lips. As Spark ascended with the others, a trail of stardust followed in his wake, illuminating the sky. For Abel, it was not just the end of a chapter, but a testament to the unexpected paths life could take. Sometimes the greatest acts of kindness came when least expected, and the universe remembered, bringing its children home to thank you